Yeah, that's my. This is so. This is yeah. I've just been back to back all morning. This is number 4. So yeah, Lizzie's been very good at keeping me. And this is it's my second mug of coffee, and I had a cappuccino in my first meeting out this morning.
Brilliant. Look at you, busy. I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's good. We've just got the 418 are standing up. So my elite group, the 520, that I thought people would leave from, well, no one's left. So we've just started a new group called the 418. So same standard, just different group of people. So yeah, just all that running.
How do you find them? How are you building your community around?
So the flow is that people join as one-to-one executive clients, and they do sort of 6 months.
Yep.
And then the offer is made that, well, look, we can continue to do one-to-one stuff, or you can join the 520 or the 418. And the 418 gives you access to accountability groups, to retreats, to all the other stuff. But then they still get one-to-one coaching. So there's a natural flow from one-to-one working with me through to the 520 series, which is led by me, but with group accountability and masterminds. So that's the general flow. Some people get to skip the one-to-one. So an old friend of mine reached out and went, "Stu, how do we work together?" And I went, well, actually, probably the best thing is, rather than us working together, is that you join the 418. So you don't just get to hear what you always heard from here. You get to hear from other people as well. Yeah, so that's the flow. And then in time, it will happen that. So there's only 12 places in either the 520, the 418, or in time the 617. So there's only 36 places, and in time, people will leave. And that creates the space for the next people to join in. And that really is just the flow of, that's the flow of the business. And when all of that's full, that then gives me the capacity for sort of, if I want them two new one-to-one clients a month, or one, but that's a very, very, very satisfying business model.
Yeah, it's great, Stu. Great. I love it. And I think, there's so many opportunities, and your challenges scale because you are you're one-on-one. So how you bring other people on, I'd imagine.
And so flip it on his head. Yes, I can, you get to the point that I'm full. Okay, fair enough. Because what do you do when you're full? Well, you just rack your prices. You just move to the next, or you move to the next level. I mean, at the moment, I'm sitting in that. I'm just sitting in that sort of businesses of up to $5 million revenue. That's just increasing. That we're now moving into the $5 to $10 million revenue, and then so there's always somewhere new to go. And the business model is just go, well, I just go to the next level. Let's go to the next level. And that then creates space, hopefully. And I've actually got a couple of people coming through the programs who want to start their own coaching business. So what I'm doing is I'm by me continuing to challenge myself, moving into bigger businesses with. I mean, they're not different problems; they're just at a different level problems.
Yeah.
I'm then creating space that I've got people that I know and trust because they've been through my programs to then say, well, actually, this isn't the level I work at anymore, but you need to talk to them. So, if I remove it if I stop thinking about me as scale and I start thinking about as me as a part of the ecosystem, then it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, that's exciting. I think there's a few things in the pipeline. The CEO table is building. That's interesting, but we're not and we're not pushing commercialization of that yet. We're pushing trust, really, really honing in on the trust layer and what people really want and how we build out that community organically to see then what and how do people organically collect, learn, and share around the tables. So I know that the commercial layer will come in probably more next year. This year, we just have to build that out. And that's a challenge. But the moment you start to push the product. But what we have done, Stu, is we've got the tables, and then the CEO tables drive the Flux insights, which is what we prepare from the tables. And then from that, we have what we're going to start calling the Flux experiences, where will be events, right? Where we host a dinner, and you might come and speak for 20 minutes, really to push them outside of, we've talked about this, and the dinner is wine tasting, whiskey tasting, 5-course, high-end, CEO only, kind of, and more like 30 or 40 people. There's a commercial layer there for us. And that's where you begin to reinforce the community, again, through shared experience in real life. And then the last layer is the Flux strategy, actionable leadership layer, and nothing changes. So I feel like we have a journey, and that community piece is important as we build that out. So the next time, So I think we're just working through that. It's not what I thought. I really enjoy that. Like that, I can see for me being part of and driving a community where we help lift the strategic bandwidth of CEOs in New Zealand is something I'm really passionate about. As are you. So that's why I was asking you about your, kind of what and how you're doing. There's lots of room and opportunities for collab. And in the future, I think we just, that's why I love this. Like if we can get this unstoppable flux, if that's what, I think that's what we called it, whatever. Yeah. And then,
great.
And then that we'll see what happens. How does it help? One of the things that we've been hearing from our community is that, or email, get that, but actually audio, things that they can just listen to 10 minutes in the car between meetings of high value. So I think whether whether it's a video, like it doesn't matter, video or audio, it's both. So I think this is an interesting test. How does this resonate? And then, of course, how do we build out a platform that delivers this into the hands of the CEOs, to the audience? Because that then positions you. We probably need to, let's get a couple of these done, and then we can go, well, we probably need to just be a bit public about our collab, right? In an honest and transparent way, which is we both aligned, we're both passionate about leadership and coaching, Flux on the growth strategy side, you on the human coach side. Great.
Once we defined that, and I think I sense that subconsciously you and I have defined it, which is why we're able to do this. It's actually putting the words behind it so that other people can understand it.
Yeah, that's right.
And you just go, okay, that makes sense. Again, I mean, that's why I love I love the word ecosystem, because that removes that whole concept of competition. It's just, do you know what? We're all in this space trying to do the right thing, and we can't do it by ourselves. So let's just find some good people around about us that, and it's not even about allow us to go faster. It's to allow us to grow our passion to help one another. Other thing, just in other news, I've just finished the fresh draft of my new book.
In your spare time. Oh my God!
It came along quite quickly. It was one of those that I've been playing with it in the margins of my mind. That there was another, because I think I wrote a novel that I've still got to do a bunch of work on, but our company, because of the number of businesses and chief execs and founders and investors I've been working with, there's sort of been this theme emerging, and I just sat down and wrote it. So
hold on. I just sat there and wrote it. What does that look? Are you using Word? Like, what does that look like? Because I'd love to do a book at some point, but it's the how, right? Like getting it all from here.
Right. So if we back up to Unstoppable, the second book.
Yes.
That started out as ramblings on many, many Word documents. And it was just, you're like, okay, well, there's something here and there's an essay there. And then I started talking about the new book. And a mate of mine, Ian, who lives in Las Vegas, not that matters. I was on he was part of an accountability group I was with. And one day on the call, he just leant forward on the screen and went, "Stu, write the fucking book." And I went, yeah. So I went and found a local coffee shop, and I went to that coffee shop every day. I ordered the cappuccino and I wrote 1,500 words. And I wrote those words until my challenge was write every day, 5 days a week, until you've written 100,000 words. And that's the book. And then you go into the editing process. So that took months of every day heading down to the coffee shop. This one's called The Unreasonable CEO. And I knew there were so there's 5 parts to being unreasonable. There's your identity, there are your standards, there's the sacrifices you have to make, there's the command of you and your organization, and then there's the legacy. And what I wanted it to be was, okay, so there's a story, then there is an explainer, then there is what the standard actually is of those 5 steps, and then there is a basically an accountability and implementation piece. So that was the book, and that was in my head. So I just sat down and wrote it. But it was just right. Well,
I love it. Okay,
I know what it looks like.
The focus on the words, not the flow and the editing, is I think what I picked up from that. It's like get it out,
just write,
then work out.
So Bo, my previous coach, when he wrote his words, he went to a coffee shop and he hand wrote his. But he said to me, just write. There were some days I would just go and write swear words on the page until something landed. So my process was when I got in the car. Sometimes when I got in the car to drive down to the coffee shop, I didn't know what I was going to write about that day. And in the car, when the car was when the muse would arrive.
Oh, wow.
And I'd arrive there. And even now, if you open the book and you read a sentence, I'd be able to go, oh, yeah, that was then, and this was why, and that was why I ended up writing it.
That's wow.
So just get an idea of a concept and then just start writing.
And look, and I had been, I think I'm not, it's not going to happen in the short term, but I think there's something there, but I am dyslexic. So the thought of, I have no problems writing, but it's organization and clarity and order flow. What I'm hearing is.
So big, Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
Scottish Canadian.
Yeah, of course.
And actor. I was reading one of his, because he seems to do one every year at the moment. I read one a couple of years ago and I thought, this doesn't feel like, as I'm reading it, it didn't feel like any of his other books. But at the end of it, it actually said, I actually wrote this book using Otter. And then one of my daughters took the recording and transposed it into the words. And as soon as I read it, I went, that makes sense. So use Otter.
That's interesting though. That lost some of his. Well, that's you do lose anyway. I think that's good. That's good. It's good kind of I guess just good framing for me in terms of what it could look like. But anyway, that's okay. First, I have to make my millions.
Yeah, I'd like to do the other way around. And trust me, writing a book isn't going to make you millions. Well, it hasn't made me millions yet. But maybe the unreasonable CEO is the one that does it.
But they say that the book is not what makes you the millions for most people. It's the credibility it lends to the craft and the application.
And that's why, I believe it's very, very unfair to say, oh, my book's my business card. Because, a business card's a bit of paper that you got printed. But to be able to, so to get 1,000 copies of the Unreasonable CEO printed and then sent to 1,000 CEOs as a gift of, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. That's going to create a conversation, and that's all you're looking for.
Yep. And therefore, it's a very powerful brand door opener, reason to call. Yeah, especially once people read it, and you can. Yeah. Anyway, that's good. I look forward to reading. I enjoyed Unstoppable, but I enjoyed Unstoppable because it really was like talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was I could hear your voice in it, and the stories, and the candor, and the timber. Anyway, that's good. I look forward to it.
And that's that was certainly the idea for Unstoppable. The concept behind the new one is different. It's it sort of starts. Let me just read you the first line to give you an idea of where we're headed with it. There is a standard of leadership that most people never experience, not because it's hidden, because it's uncomfortable. It requires a level of clarity, decisiveness, and personal accountability that doesn't leave room for hesitation, politics, or excuse making. In some environments, that standard is not aspirational, it's operational. And if you don't meet it, the consequences are immediate. There you go.
That kind of gets you, that gets your attention.
That's the idea. And not long after that, in the introduction, it says, look, if you've got a problem in your business, it's got nothing to do with your business. It's got everything to do with you. So we're not pulling punches.
No, and I think this is where, we're about to publish the insights from the last CEO table, which was about AI. But actually, it's not about AI. It is more about leadership right now than ever before. And the AI layer is just creating such change at such pace that what you just said in terms of the required clarity and confidence is never before seen. And so many leaders, I think also the other thing we saw that with so many insights, but just this importance of transparency, being able to say to their organization, I don't know, but this is what I think. What do you think? And these are the steps we're going to take next. And those leaders that were uncomfortable with that, as you would have seen in the BPTW insights, there was a softening of trust of leadership, a decline year on year. And so it's not difficult to imagine there's a group of leaders, probably our age and older, who are going outwardly, sharing nothing's wrong, we're okay, and the business is going, well, fuck, I'm alive to the shit storm that's coming to my world for the change to work. And you're telling me it's okay, my job is safe, nothing's going to change. I don't believe you. And so
that comes to using the unreasonable CEO language. That's where we're screwing our own legacy. Mm-hmm. Because if we're not having those honest conversations with people, then we're not recognizing the people who we trust to move into our space when we're no longer there. Whether it's because we move on or whether we should stop this or we should start recording because this is gold.
Well, the Flux Assistant is recording. So that is we get we have that. But I was just thinking exact same thing. This is a promo reel for your book. Happy to do that. And a promo reel for why you would join the CEO community because of the insights and the conversations that this garners. So
I think, seeing as we are recording, I wonder if this is the promo reel. So let's just play with this for a minute, and then we can talk about what we're going to talk about or not.
Anything. Yeah.
But I think you and I, the basis of 6 months ago, you and I had a conversation about having a conversation that we record. There might be a podcast, there might be on YouTube, there might be somewhere, and we're going to call it Unstoppable Flux because that reflects both of our organizations. And then we got busy and then we stopped doing it. But every time we have a conversation, every time we jump on a call, we end up talking about some really, really great stuff that we've just got to share.
Yeah, that's
because the questions are out there. So yeah, if this is the first time, and it will be for everyone, if this is the first time you've heard Michael and Stu having a conversation, welcome to Unstoppable Flux. This is what you can expect to get. We were going to have a conversation, we were going to have a conversation about the generations in the workforce. But all of a sudden, we're now talking about leadership. We're talking about AI and how AI is the thing that is really clouding what's really going on in our businesses.
And actually, what we're talking about is, what does it mean to be a human leading other humans and businesses right now, where the rate of change, where the rate of uncertainty and chaos, both locally and globally, we've never seen this.
And I think that's something that we've got to be. I'm actually I'm on stage at the Tampa Aquarium in the state of Florida next month, and I'm actually talking. The event is called Humans: The Future of Work.
Yeah,
because we've spoken about technology and AI and what's coming, but at the end of the day, there has still got to be a social interaction between humanity.
And look, all AI is a tool. However, it is a disruptor. It is disrupting work. And I think this is the thing that a lot of the conversations we've been having just with CEOs, in our day-to-day, is that the organizational structures that we have are being put under massive amounts of chaos, and they don't represent actually how the work is done, because we try and put them in these lovely silos, but work doesn't happen anymore. Now you've got AI across blurring it all. And so there's been some thinking that actually the organizational chart needs to shift to the work chart. How does the work get done? What are the big work activities? That's your chart, because the organizational chart is about people and structure, not about work anymore.
And I think there's two things that I want to come back to you on. There's always been that work chart. What we used to say was, those are the dotted lines. So we've got a structure, and then there's the dotted lines about how you get stuff done. So it's always been there. We just need to flip it and go, well, look, we've got, and there was a great book written, it's quite a long time ago, I think probably about 20 years old now, called The Spider and the Starfish. And it was about how you take a very structured organization, the spider, and that's like your militaries and your government. And then you've got the starfish organizations, which are like Apple and Google and Oracle. The idea being that you can take a leg off the starfish and it can grow into a new starfish, a new business, or that leg will grow back. And so you've got these two different concepts. And the answer is, so if you think, right, so we've got organizational structure, and then we've got the work to be done, which is then the starfish. So the best organizations understand both of those.
Yeah.
And by understanding both of those, this works. So maybe what we're seeing is there's that shift more towards the work piece, and that being more the structure.
Yeah.
And just to jump in before I respond to that one, that is why I love what Flux does. Because I think that your organization, Flux B2B, is the opportunity for organizations to try this stuff out, to say, actually, do you know what? We think our structure for the next 6 months needs to be this. And they can then come to you and go, right, can you help us with this stuff? And where the fractional roles are, and then in 6 months' time, maybe it's something different, and then you shift it. So I think your organization is primed to help people with that transition.
Yeah, thank you. And what we take that really seriously, and I think what we're seeing is, after that strategy conversation, you have to look at structure, because if you've built, the world is changing. The chances are that in the last 18 months, your strategy should have amended. You should be thinking differently of the world and your place in it. And now you've got to look at your people, the skills, the capabilities. Where do you need humans? Where do you need automation and AI? No change in that. That's always been there. But the structures and the capability, capacity inside those structures now are becoming under scrutiny. And that's where we're seeing this lead, back to the unreasonable CEO, back to what you guys do. It is that now layer. that's been completely tested and pushed. Because if we don't have that right, the strategy will fail. The strategy won't be as successful. It will create friction and tension and burnout and all of those nasty things that, a lot of us have experienced and seen in the last 36 months.
And that's what you pick any global event at the moment, and let's face it, there are plenty. That's actually what we're seeing. We're seeing the conversation that we've just had. We're seeing playing out on a global scale, and if we're seeing it playing out on a global scale, then we're actually we're seeing it at the country level, and then you're down into individual organizations, and you're getting just a little bit ahead of it through having these conversations. At least we begin to think. We begin to think, right, what is my part in this solution? And you don't be afraid of putting your hand up. Don't be afraid. Whatever we end up posting this thing, become part of the conversation. And because this is what we solve it.
That's the key. Because everyone is navigating this and no one has the answers. And the more we can be open and honest and share what's happening and learn from what everyone else is doing, I think it's interesting. The last couple of tables, we've really seen a theme about where are the good news stories? Where are we hearing who's doing well? And unfortunately, not wanting to comment on media, but Media New Zealand is, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. So there's a tendency to not hear those. But I think there's a real gap because there are some incredible leaders and some incredible teams and incredible businesses doing amazing work or recovering from tough times, making tough decisions. And that's as inspirational and aspirational as the wins because we're all navigating chaos.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, the media is there to sensationalize our ability to hold a thought is now down to less than 2 minutes. The media recognizes that, so we bounce through the news. I make sure that I watch beyond New Zealand. I watch the US media, the UK. I watch Al Jazeera to get a different viewpoint as well. And I think we've all got to move outside so that the media that we watch or that we read isn't the end of our analysis. It's the beginning of the analysis.
Yeah, that's really good.
By hearing different accents, different voices, then that little bit more information, and then finding a safe environment like Unstoppable Flux or the CEO table or the 520 or the 418 that I run. By finding those environments, it makes you realize that you're not alone. We're not. That being alone is a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to be.
And for CEOs and founders, I think they need more of that because it is one of the most loneliest roles, which is why this sort of authentic connection and sharing and open and honest forums. And I love what you do in your groups around the accountability layer, because then there's so many things that we can do, what we say we can do. Holding ourselves to account is a challenge because there's so many draws in our time. But often, I liken this to going and getting a personal trainer. You want to show up having done the work. You want to do the work in front of the personal trainer because you feel like, oh God, I want this person to be proud. I want them to know that I've done the work. And that's what accountability looks like when it is shared out.
I mean, I remember years ago, I was training to do a mountain marathon in Switzerland. And year one, I just did it by myself. I trained by myself and it was horrible. Year two, my mate from around the corner, Peter, went, well, if you do it again, I'll do it with you. And I was like, I don't even know if I can complete it the first time. But anyway, we both signed up for it. And we were both really, really busy at work. And we would be up at 4:30 in the morning to go out for our long runs. But when you open the curtains and it's raining and it's dark and but there's no way I wouldn't have been. There's no way I would have left Peter down at down under the lamppost.
Because
I'd have quite happily gone back to bed if it was just me. And that's what we find with the 520 series is that when you're accountable to one another, you don't want to let other people. You quite happily let yourself down.
That's true.
But you won't let other people down.
Yeah,
and that's where we see the advancement. Because people they'll do what they said they'd do, because there's a bit of ego play in there, but they're part of something bigger than themselves. And that's where these conversations can help people just realize that actually, do you know what, there is a conversation that I choose to have,
and it's about making the time for that, isn't it? In our busy days, we're so busy. There's more and more busyness. I think this is something, I don't know if it's a Kiwi thing. How are you? I'm busy. I have to, because busy doesn't equal productive, doesn't equal commercial outcomes, right? It's just busy. So I think we're beginning to see, as humans, spending more time being humans doing than being humans being. And what came out of the last round of tables was we have to create thinking. Leaders, CEOs and founders need thinking space. They need time to think.
Because that's how we grow.
Yeah. And that's how we stop the busyness and being able to have perspective. And, some CEOs around the tables had orchestrated walking meetings, which, some of them had created group exercise inside the office, so helping their businesses create moments of teaming, but also opportunity to think. But I think, where does that happen where we're thinking about our business and the world and our place in it? And therefore, what is our, I'm going to use the word strategy, but it really is about, where do we play now? Where do we allocate our resources for growth? And what's changing? What's different to a month ago? If you're in manufacturing or supply chain, your world is in chaos at the moment. So there's huge shifts, but
we're not in there. I mean, when as a very, very baby spy, as an analyst in my very first project, we were instructed that 15% of our time was for non-work activity. So you way back then, I was actually an analyst for Iran at the time. Go figure. But that didn't mean that that 15% of the time I could then go and do some analysis on Soviet nuclear submarines. There you go. That's how long ago it was. Or what's happening in South America. It was still work related, but there was that sacrosanct 15%. And I think there's something in that we feel guilty if we're not busy.
Yeah.
The world's made that. I love that. I was struggling with spelling the word busyness the other day. And I kept writing business. And I was going, there's probably a really, really deep conversation in there somewhere. But I've got to be busy. No, your job as a leader is not to be busy. And whether you deal with that through delegation, through however you do with trust, however you go about it, you've got to go, no, this is I call it executive time, but this is the time that is mine. No one gets that. Oh, but I've got an open door policy. Fine. But for a period of time, the door is closed, or you're not there, because that's actually where you bring, as a leader, that is where you bring the real value to the organization, not in the doing. It's in that thought space.
Many leaders, I think, understand that intrinsically, but haven't. This is the challenge with growth when you don't have large teams and you are having to double hat. And I think it becomes a habit when you build your business, but it's how you change that frame. And in tech, we see a lot of engineering based CEOs and founders who are very technically savvy and smart. And so they are often very involved in that product and that engineering layer. And it's a challenge to then move out of that, or to put in place a structure and a team of trust that allows you to then look at what needs to be happening in the business. And
even to find the people that can do the job, even to 80% of your standard, to find them so you can begin to move away. I mean, there's all manner of challenges to get there.
And we're definitely seeing more and more, I don't know, we're still seeing leaders buried in that.
And I think, I'm going to make the call that this isn't a conversation for today, but at the next Unstoppable Flux, let's have that conversation about different generations in the workplace, because I think that conversation will probably lead us down to some really, really interesting, not solutions, but interesting thoughts as to why that might be happening. Because as a little introduction, what did you tell me? Was it 4 or 5 generations in the workplace now?
5
generations in the workplace. That's for next time.
Okay. I think that's a great place to bookend and to finish the inaugural.
How cool was that?
Mini.
We knew it would work like this, didn't we? We knew we'd just do it.
Yeah. It's almost like the unfireside chat. The one we planned, it's not the one we have, but this is life.
Yeah.
Let's roll with it.